everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phoebe and today I'm going to be telling you all about my favourite small town romances. I feel like over the last couple of years small town romances have become so popular and we all just kind of love curling up with a cosy book and then reading about a cosy small town. I'm going to start first with the books that I own physically, and then I have a few that I read on ebook that I don't own physical copies of. So I'm going in no particular order. I've not ranked these or anything. I'm just going to start with the ones I own and then move on to the ones that I don't. So the first one is a popular book, but I don't feel like it's one that people particularly associate as being a small town romance. I could be wrong, but I feel like when people talk about this they don't mention the setting very much, and it's Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Now, if you're looking for a true, proper romance, all of the other ones on the list are. This one isn't only a romance. I think the romance is reasonably prevalent. The characters are in contact or around each other for a lot of the book. I wouldn't say this is a literary fiction with a tiny subplot of romance. It is about the romance, but it's also about the sister relationship, the family dynamics. It's about this beautiful small town that they're in. So basically I think it's for the whole summer, both of our main characters and then the female main character's sister are in this small town. It's a beautiful town. The setting and the descriptions in this book are beautiful. They're staying in this little cottage. It's really remote at like the top of this hill, and like a taxi won't even be able to go up and take them to it because it's like that far out of the way. So if you're more bothered about being in a small town than you are about a really kind of focused romance, I think this one would be great. If you don't particularly enjoy books that have other plots and you just want a romance, I'll get onto all of those now, but I love this book. There's just something about this book that I found very charming and just very beautiful to read. The next one is the Knock 'Em Out series. The second one is actually my favourite. I haven't read the third one yet, but it wasn't until I read the second book that I really realised how much I actually enjoy this town and the people in it. So the town is literally called Knock 'Em Out. It's very on the nose. And this is, you have to go into this knowing that it's a bit silly. It's got a mystery plot in it. This is definitely a romance though. I'd say the mystery is the subplot and the romance is the main plot. And a lot of when you're learning about the mystery, it's linked to the romance and the characters anyway. But it is a bit silly. The main male character is a bit immature, despite being about 40. He does kind of act like a 19-year-old at times. But there's just something about this that's very charming. If you're looking for something that's just feel good and you don't care too much about exquisite characterisation like in Book Lovers or the best writing in the world, you just want something that's a bit fun. Just a nice romance in a small town with some fun side characters, I would recommend the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score. The next one, again, I've not heard people talk about really the setting of this, and it's The Long Game by Elena Armas. I think people associate this author now with summer because of the Spanish Love Deception, which I love that, by the way. I did not like the American Roommate Experiment, but I love the Spanish Love Deception. This is different in a lot of ways from both of them. It still has that same kind of fun, again quite on the nose, not too deep writing style, but the setting of this is gorgeous. So our female main character goes to this really small town and she ends up living in this like lodge in the woods, which again is really beautiful. And say the setting in this one isn't quite as prevalent as the first two that I talked about, but if you're in the mood for quite like it's not a massively autumnal book, but if you're in the mood for more of like a foresty kind of setting rather than like a little beach town or something, I would definitely recommend this. It's a good story, great characters. I really like the romance in this one. But yeah, again, go into this knowing that it's not the most exquisite writing in the world, but it's definitely a fun book to read. On a similar vein in terms of setting, we've got All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. This is a slow burn between Aurora and Rhodes. Rhodes is quite a grumpy man. He's quite a bit older than Aurora, but not in a illegal way. They are both adults. Essentially, Aurora rents this kind of garage apartment type thing from who she thinks is Rhodes. She turns up, Rhodes has no idea what she's talking about. He hasn't rented out this room. You find out what has happened there. She ends up staying and they end up falling in love over the course of this quite thick book. It's definitely a slow burn. It's grumpy sunshine. Aurora is very sunshiny. She is going through a lot internally, but on the outside she's a very sunshiny character. well, the setting of this is gorgeous, and I'd say the setting is similar to this, but in All Roseland here it's more prevalent. She goes on quite a lot of hikes and stuff like that. She spends a lot of time out in nature, because that's kind of why she's gone back there, is to reconnect with this place that has links to her childhood and to do all these hiking trails and things like that. So again, if you're in the mood for a more like foresty, hikey, outdoorsy kind of setting, I would definitely recommend this. It's a really sweet book. The next one, again, people talk about this book all the time, but I love the kind of small town feel of it, and it's Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I don't know that this is as small and quaint of a town as the others, but it has that vibe, because Archer, the male main character, is such like a soft, wholesome person. It makes the whole book have small town vibes, if that makes sense, because for me, when I read a small town romance, it's because I want like wholesome vibes, and he is so wholesome that even if the setting isn't quite as small towny as the others, it just has that feel to the whole book. This one, if I remember, I'm sure this one is more of a seaside-y small town, so if you're in the mood for a bit more of a, this isn't a light summer beach read, it's quite sad in a lot of parts. It's not, it has a happy ending, but it is quite sad in a lot of parts. But if you're in the mood for that kind of beach, lake kind of vibe rather than the foresty kind of vibes, I would definitely recommend Archer's Voice. And then the last of the ones that I physically own before we get on to the ones I read as ebooks is the Chestnut Springs series. I'm just going to hold up the first one, but the whole series I would recommend. This is a series of cowboy slash bull rider romances. When I first heard that, I was like, I've never read anything like it. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like that, but I love it. So this is like a very specific setting. It's on a ranch, which is just beautiful. Just the most gorgeous setting, and they spend a lot of time on the ranch. Throughout the books, all the men have like different jobs, but most of them are related to like ranch work or being a bull rider or something like that. So you spend a lot of time on the ranch, you spend a lot of time with the family, which I always really enjoy. Each book follows a different person that's like linked to each other, so either the brothers or like best friends or whatever. It follows like a close-knit group of people, and yeah, it's just gorgeous. This one specifically is the first one. This is a bull rider romance, and then they kind of alternate as you go on between being like general ranch vibes, bull rider, cowboy. There's one powerless, which is he's a hockey player and she's a ballerina, but it's still set in the same setting for the most part, like on the ranch, because the hockey player works and helps out like on the ranch and stuff. So yeah, I definitely recommend the Chestnut Springs series. Moving on to the ones that I don't physically own, on a similar-ish kind of vein to Chestnut Springs, not in story but in setting, is Indigo Ridge and Juniper Hill. These are part of the Eden series by Devney Perry. In my opinion, the series after these two goes downhill. I've not massively enjoyed the others, but they are interconnected standalones, so you don't need to read the whole series to get a whole story or anything. You could just read the first two and then stop, which is what I would recommend doing. And again, they are on a ranch with, you're following like a family of brothers and sisters, and yeah, it's just a great setting, great characters. The first two have great stories and great romances. They also have little subplots, so the first one has a mystery subplot, which means that the main two characters are kind of forced together a lot, because she is the chief of police and he owns the land on which the crime happens, so they have to spend a lot of time together figuring that out. And then the second one is a single mum who moves into town to work in one of the sisters' hotels, and I really enjoyed it. Even though I'm not a parent and I don't plan on being a parent, definitely not anytime soon, I just really enjoyed it. I think it was a very honest book about what being a single mother is like, and that it's not always sunshines and rainbows. And yeah, I really enjoyed both of them. Again, didn't enjoy the rest of the series, but you could definitely just read the first two and then stop. You wouldn't be missing out on anything. The next one is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. Again, this is a like cowboy vibe kind of romance. The second one comes out this year, so it is going to be a longer series, but at the minute it's just Done and Dusted that is out. This is a brother's best friend romance, which I do enjoy, a bit of brother's best friend. Any romance where there's a bit of a reason for them not to be together that causes tension, I eat it up. This was great. It was a really fun read. Again, great characters, great setting, great story. It's not like a 5-star read that stuck with me forever. I wouldn't say it's quite on the level of the Chestnut Springs series, but if you're kind of in a bit of a rut now that the Chestnut Spring series is complete before Elsie Silver releases her new series later in the year, I would definitely recommend reading Done and Dusted. The next one is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is the Lakefront Billionaires series. It's the first book and it's the only one that's currently out, but the next one does come out this year. Again, this one's a bit of a different setting to the others. It's a lake setting. It's a small town called, I believe, Lake Wisteria. And it's just, God, it sounds like the most beautiful place on earth. Like, I wish I could go there. It's got like beautiful big like classic mansions and things like that. It just sounds like the most gorgeous place. And this book in particular, in the series, the first one, follows two characters that have known each other for a long time, don't get on particularly very well, so again there's that tension there of why they're not together. They've had kind of on and off, kind of almost but never quite situations in the past. Great writing, great character. Lauren Asher's books get better the newer they get. I personally don't love the Dirty Air series. I like the, what's it called? The fine print one, the one where they're at Dreamland Billionaires. I like that series but wasn't obsessed with it. But I love Redesigned. It's like a 4.5 star read, so her writing only gets better, I think, the more that she writes, so I'm really excited for the rest of that series. The next one is In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. This is a story about our two main characters that went to school together, and he has been pining after her since high school. They're now adults, they've been reunited, and it's just, again, I keep saying it, but it's just so beautiful. It's in a small town. They do a lot of like little country fairs and stuff where she sells her jam and like just really sweet little things like that that make it a really nice kind of vibe to read about. And that was the last book for this video that I can think of. There's definitely a lot of small town romances out there, but these are the ones that really stuck out to me that I've kind of remembered since reading them and that I would definitely recommend. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!